What is going on? It's Obadiah, and today we are back with another episode of Musical Hideout, the show where we hang out with artists, musicians, and entertainers in Waylon Jennings' old basement studio. As always, as soon as he gets in the room, I am gathered with co-host Ryan Poole.
Hello.
Who I will pass it to. Well, we didn't actually discuss this, but I guess I'll pass it to introduce the guest who I know much better.
Yeah, I thought we might reverse it today.
There it
but
is.
also, I did this is today. Our guest, I did a little research, kind of.
wow.
Yeah.
There we go.
Today our guest is Johnathan West. Johnathan is 26.
26. Nice. Wow.
Wow, all the research.
When's my birthday?
Works at Belmont University, and is originally from Nashville.
Yeah. Very
And
good. Very good.
always goes by Johnathan West. You
Yeah.
have to say his first and last name.
Did you tell him that? Or just my intro? Yeah.
Well, I know that because you're one of three people Jury talks about from work.
Yeah.
And every time
Who's
he
the
says
third?
your name, it's always Johnathan West.
Yeah. That's
Who's the
it.
third?
Then there's what's her name? The girl.
Corey Beth.
Corey
Corey
Beth.
Beth.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Reggie?
Reggie.
Makes
Reggie.
sense.
But it's never Reggie Edwards.
No,
Which
I don't
Reggie's
even-
great. But
I didn't know
But
his
how many
last
people
name.
do you know named Reggie?
fair point.
And how many people do you know named John?
You
know,
know everybody named John, but you
yeah,
got to have
exactly.
a distinction. Jonathan, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So you're Johnathan West.
Yeah.
What's funny is I've heard about you so many times because always when he comes home from work, so Johnathan West today at the office. Johnathan West, but
Nothing else interesting happens except for me and John
Me-
talk sometimes.
So
Yeah.
it's like I've never heard. Yeah,
Kinda
I've never
true.
heard anything that deep. So I was like, me and Johnathan West went to Chick-fil-A today.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, your work's so interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, that's kind of the extent. I mean, Jury and I was telling somebody because they were asking me, they said, Jonathan, like, what are you and Jury going to talk about on the microphone? I said, Jury and I's conversations usually start with something very low level, like, man, chicken nuggets are terrible, and usually end with something very political or theological by the end of it. And then it goes back to, that's why Chick-fil-A nuggets are awful. So
And it's all Trump's fault.
it's
Son
all
of a
Trump's
bitch.
fault.
Wow, that's sounds about right.
There it is.
Yeah, but the reason that John qualifies, or should I say Johnathan West qualifies,
Oh, man.
to be on the show is because I mean he's not a musician.
Not a
I mean,
musician.
you play little drums.
Yeah,
you
I
play drums for church, right?
I did, yeah.
Or you
So
did.
played drums for my dad's church, and I don't anymore. But like I said, when I was at my dad's church, and still when I go and visit, he'll lay me down, and I don't know if you guys have ever been to a Black Baptist church or whatever, but sometimes songs go over. Like they'll do them again, encores.
Okay, sure.
And
Yeah.
so a lot of times the song will be ending and everybody's kind of calming down, and lots of the drums are still going boom, bah, dum, da, dum, da, dum, and then bring them back in, and it's the whole thing is there it is. So you can come play. Yeah, we don't discriminate, but anyway, it's
Unlike
it's a
you
good
white
time.
people churches.
Yeah.
I have a.
Well, they're all inclusive, but it's just the music is just white.
I have a buddy who's trying to bring me to black church, and we
Funny
went
that
to
it's a
one.
category.
Yeah,
it is.
It's funny because on the West Coast I've never heard of it ever.
No one says
no
that.
one says black church.
So there
Right.
are churches. There's one church over by Pro Kids where I used to work
That you'll
you
know.
drive by and you could
Yeah.
hear it from like 3 blocks away.
It's different.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you're like, whoa.
that's
what is
spot
going on over there?
That was so good. Can I hear it again?
Yeah, you went, "Ah!"
But he took me to black church, but it was a worship night.
Okay.
And it was more low key, and
Okay.
it was like somebody was playing keys, somebody else had a sample pad.
That's it.
And then it was
Tambourine.
like eight different people that were kind of taking turns singing.
Yeah.
And it was like they were just kind of, it was mostly improvisational, and I don't know, I liked it from a musical
Yeah.
standpoint. Like being a musician, I was able
It's
to get into it
interesting.
because people were like, yes he is,
Yeah.
yes he is,
There you go.
and then someone's got a harmony, and it's like, ooh, and I'm like, ooh, I'm joining on the harmony.
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's wild. And then there's this whole like call to action thing, or call and response thing, I should say. So where the preacher say something and yes, can I get an amen? Amen. So it's just like this
Yeah.
whole it is the music isn't limited to just the musicians. Everybody kind of gets in on it.
It's a lot more
And you can-
interactive.
definitely. And they're loud. So I mean
It's a whole other thing.
it's wild. Have you ever been to
No, I've been to things that are closer than your standard white church. I've never been to like something I could honestly be like, I went to black church.
Yeah.
Can't, not really. Huh.
Okay, Evansville Missionary Baptist Church. I'm gonna go. Me and you are gonna go. You can come too. It'll be great.
What is
It'd
it
be a good
called?
time. Evans Hill Missionary Baptist Church, and you have to say
Okay.
it exactly like that.
Evansville
You can't just call it
Missionary
Evans
Baptist
Hill.
Church.
You can't just call it church. It's Evans Hill Missionary Baptist Church, where the pastor is Pastor John P. West Jr.
Nice.
Every time.
Nice.
Oh, it's your dad's church.
Yeah,
Got it.
exactly. Yeah.
I was like, wow, he has the same name as you.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. I made that connection. Not just
Boom.
for hats.
Super smart. Look at that.
So, but anyways, yeah, you're not a musician.
Not a musician. No. All that to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but you are in here because you do your own podcast.
I'm taking my intro back.
You're taking.
I was gonna get there. Yeah. Jonathan has his own podcast
there you
called
go.
Being Husband,
Yes.
and today I was a little slightly. I paused with that for a second because I was listening to an episode that actually said "Becoming Husband."
Yes.
It was like prequel almost.
Yes. Yeah.
And it was great because so I've heard about, like we said, I've heard about you before, and so I had a picture in my head of what Johnathan West probably looks like, and then I started listening to your podcast and I heard your voice and I was like, oh, okay, the picture had evolved. I'm like, whoa, why am I apparently attached to my image of Johnathan West? Because I didn't want to give it up, but I'm like, okay, this guy, okay.
Yeah.
And then you walked in the door and you looked different than I thought your voice
Yeah,
sounded, so
man.
I've had to like reacclimate to this Johnathan West character a lot of times.
Yeah.
So I want to know what you thought he looked like.
Yeah.
I have no idea. That's the thing. I'm like, I don't know what I was expecting. It's just,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm a mixed bag.
I guess I thought you'd be like wear suits.
Yeah.
Wear
That's
suits?
really funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know.
does he paint me in a light that's very professional?
Yeah,
I
Really?
do? I don't mean to.
generally speaking,
That's
yeah.
interesting.
I guess we talk about things that are more adult things.
That's fair.
So maybe that's how it comes
We
off.
don't
I
really
know.
talk a lot of jokey.
That's not completely true either.
It's
but,
not.
yeah.
Well, and I think I'm a serious guy and I think a lot. I'm in my head a lot, but I always kind of surround myself by people that are a little more lighthearted and provide a little bit more levity. So that way I can laugh.
Why are you hanging out with him?
Well, because he's
I'm full of
he's a
levity.
good time. Have you ever met Jury? He's a blast.
What the fuck, Brian? I'm full of fun.
Tub of fun.
Tons of fun. So much fun. No, but and my wife's the same way, man. Just real lighthearted. So yeah, I mean, life's too short.
Your wife Leah.
The wife lives.
I learned that from the
Wow.
podcast. Well, that stuck out
Well, that one
because my
sticks
old
out, yeah.
manager's name was Leah,
Yeah.
And not
And-
Leia.
not Leah.
Not Leia.
That's a
no.
distinction Leah's
No, it's not the
apparently
same.
really have.
It's not the same.
And
Yeah.
then we should get into it. The longest,
notes?
most conversational show. Yeah, I did. I decided to. There was this one thing you said in the podcast.
Okay.
Because I had to listen. I had to understand. So yeah. So Jonathan's here because he does a podcast. So he's an entertainer.
Yeah.
We've kept our definition of who we'll have in the show very
Yeah.
loose on purpose, and
Yes.
we're stretching it. But it was cool. So I listened to part of an episode today,
Yeah.
and I wrote down 2 quotes that I thought shared the
Oh,
show
wow.
nicely.
Yeah.
And the show is about being a husband. We'll get into that more. I'll ask
That's
your
cool.
your take on it.
That's fine.
But
Yeah.
here were 2 quotes I thought were funny. This one was like on one side, the more serious side. You're talking about politics and theology, and you said, "Study it, know it, and understand what God has revealed to you in both these disciplines, and be able to articulate it respectfully."
Nice. That's
Very
it.
serious.
Yeah.
I was like,
Very
that's definitely
serious.
one part of the podcast.
Right.
And then here's my other one that I thought was funny.
Yeah.
If you want your woman to be all over on you, or all over you, kissing on you and all that, cook her up something good and cut on some Kenny G and get some essential oils diffusing.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, you will be blessed. I was like, that's the summary of this podcast.
That's a tweet. Yeah. No. Yeah. That is spot on, man. And that's the thing about it. That's why I say I'm a mixed bag, because just when you think you kind of got me licked, like he's a serious dude, he wears suits all the time. I tell you about essential oils and ways to make your woman happy. And I think that all of those things play a factor. You gotta look, man. When you're in a relationship with a girl, you don't want to be one dimensional. You know what I mean? Like that's not interesting. That's not even real. I don't even think most people. Would you? I mean, you probably agree with that. Most people are not one size fits all, one dimension.
No, I mean, there is like your kind of standard generic person. That
Yeah.
kind of, that fits
That's true.
most of those qualifications.
That's true.
You know,
But those
What
are
do you
few,
not-
Is there a name
though.
for that, Jury?
Huh?
Is there a name for that kind of a person?
Simpletons.
Oh, you mean Tanner? Or do you mean basic bitch? I don't know what you're going with.
That's what I thought. both are good.
No, Tanner.
Does he say
Tanner's-
Tanner to you a lot?
He says, yeah. When he's talking about like generic guy names, it's like Tanner or Chad or Brett. You
And
know
they're
what
all
I mean?
assholes.
Right.
Yeah. Kyle.
Tanner is always the lead, though. It's
Yeah.
always Tanner.
Because that
He
who
hates
does-
Tanner.
Because you know any like famous Tanners?
No, I really don't actually.
There's no famous There's no Tanners who've done anything with their life. That's what I'm saying. If you name your kid Tanner, destined to fail.
From the start.
There's no like President Tanner. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Why does that sound like a documentary? Tanner.
Destined to fail. So I know you originally when you started your podcast, it had a different name,
Had a different name. Yeah,
Right.
It was Hume, and
like the
Hume.
lake.
yeah, and yeah, right, like
Like the philosopher?
yeah, no, but it was philosophical. So Hume, the idea around Hume is that the word, and I'm kind of an etymology nerd, so you'll just bear with me. But Hume and human and humble. The Hume is the root for all of those words, and so the whole premise of that was to kind of parse out, what it is to be human, and that is to be humble, is to be kind of grounded. We say stuff like that all the time, like a guy's a real salt of the earth kind of guy, or he's really down to earth, and so we say all these things and we get what that means. But I was trying to kind of parse that out. But it was really heady, and most people are kind of over the heady and kind of want something. Hey, and I had guys that were, listeners, friends of mine, that were just like, break this down to something that it makes sense for
More
my
palpable
life.
for like
Yes.
the normal person.
Right, you're right. I mean, Jordan Peterson has his place, but some
And that's
people
one thing
just
we
want
all
Joe
agree
Rogan.
on. We all like Jordan Peterson.
We all
Oh,
like
yeah.
Jordan Peterson?
Oh, huge fan of Jordan Peterson. He's great. He's just an intellectual giant. He's crazy. But yeah, man, I think the direction then was just, how do I make this a men's ministry? And that's kind of the gist that I go in. And when I say men's ministry, a lot of guys will think, all right, so are you a pastor? Like, are you trying to just talk about gospel issues? And that's one of the things I talk about on 23 Things I Wish I Knew at 23, which was the podcast you're referring to.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing your research. Some things that I talk about are not gospel issues, but that are just good ideas, like essential oils. Heaven or hell is not determined whether you like lavender and chamomile burning in your house.
I believe you like eucalyptus,
And
mint,
yes.
and one other one that you forgot. You
I
said
couldn't
you'd
remember.
mention it
And
when you remembered.
You know what it was?
I didn't get that far.
You know what it was?
Huh.
I found out what it was, and it was clary sage.
Clary
sage.
Huh.
Yes.
Is it like sage plus some other stuff?
No. So it's a variety of sage, and clary sage. You need to look up the benefits, because from a romance standpoint, that's the key to success.
The key to success.
The key to
not
success.
Clary sage.
I'm not kidding.
Well, did you read? Recently, they've come out with studies showing that essential oils in diffuser is one thing, but if you like drop it, some people drop it into like tea.
Yeah,
it's
no.
apparently terrible for you.
Oh, it's not good at
really
all.
bad.
Well, it's so potent, you can't process that stuff at all.
Yeah, apparently it's like your body doesn't know what to do with it.
No.
Some people are just putting it in, like when it's diffused or dissolved in something, like, or whatever. Like you can use it that way, but just straight up. Some people just droplets on their tongue. My wife does that.
Oh no.
They're not good.
Not anymore, I don't think.
Yeah.
She found that out, but
It's way too potent. Well, and there's some essential oils in like tea and stuff like that, right? Like that's what peppermint tea is. That's how it gets brown, is just the oils in the tea.
Sure.
But it's not the same as straight up concentrate. You know what I mean?
that's a whole nother like category.
Exactly.
A whole nother thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I knew a guy who used to vape essential oils.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's a
he's
kind of extreme.
Mr. He's
Yeah.
Mr. Health. For a for a great example of him, earlier today I was on Instagram and it popped up. I guess it was his birthday, and all the people at work made him a cake out of like lettuce and tomatoes
so not a
and
cake.
carrots as candles.
So salad.
Yeah,
It looked like a snowman at first, like someone made a vegetable snowman.
Oh, they-
And then I was like, "Oh, I see why how it's trying to be a cake."
Yeah. No one wants
That's
that
a
for
sad
the cake.
existence.
That's so sad.
That's a sad
Yeah,
existence.
it is sad.
So what's his
Well,
name?
it's
Let's
because
call him out right
I'm not
now
going
on
to
the
say it,
internet.
but it's because his homeopath recommended
His witch doctor.
Yes.
correct
That's what you call
recommended that he eat for his blood type, which recommends a vegetarian diet. And I was like, dude, it's just
I don't believe that.
too far for your
Yeah.
health.
I don't
Too
believe
far.
in vegetarian.
I've heard that I don't believe in vegetarian either, but I've heard that blood type thing has some weight, but I just don't know.
The thing is, nobody knows.
No one
Everyone knows
really
a little
knows.
bit, and they cling on to that little bit for
And-
dear life and be like, "This is the thing."
Yeah.
and then everybody else is like, no, this is the thing.
Yeah.
And it's just, and then nothing happens.
That's why you got to go with Jordan Peterson's all beef diet.
All beef.
All
yeah.
beef.
Well, not just all beef. Only beef.
Only beef.
Only beef and water.
Exclusively.
Yeah.
The beef and water diet.
And he's so lean.
it sounds
wild.
like prison.
Honestly, I mean, maybe, but they're not eating steaks in prison, man.
That's true.
Man,
Hey, if you're going all beef, you're eating good stuff.
He's eating steak.
You know.
my man.
Thing
Like,
is, I could go that
Angus,
diet.
huh?
I could go for that diet for a little bit, but I feel like after like a couple of weeks,
No.
I'd be exhausted.
way.
It'd be like,
No
I
way.
can't eat another steak for like a month.
steaks all day. I could do it. I could do it. I love, man, prime rib, fatty portions. Fatty steaks are
If
just
you
good.
can vary what kind of beef you have, I think there's enough beef out
ground
there to
beef.
keep it.
Ground beef, venison,
good.
bison.
Does that
Well,
count though?
bison's
Because
not-
they're
is that-
different
It's
animals.
not beef.
It is because
It's
it's
red
red
meat.
Red meat is like a catch-all for beef in general. And then you got poultry, which is,
Well,
you
that's-
know.
well, that's not beef. at all.
What I'm saying is
Or red meat.
what I'm saying is the categories are beef and poultry. And
No,
that's it.
red meat and poultry.
No, it's beef and poultry.
Well, beef is just cow.
No, I don't think so.
I feel like beef is definitely just cow.
I don't think so, man.
I'm on the cow train.
Are you thinking
But-
it's just cow?
I'm
I
thinking
think
it's just cow. But I'm okay with letting Jordan Peterson
Eat bison?
bison.
So you heard it here first, Jordan.
You can eat bison.
You
Feel
can eat
free.
bison.
Eat bison. We'll allow
He
it.
does listen every week.
He does, of course.
Is that right?
Yeah, well, absolutely.
Where's he in the chat though?
Yeah, he doesn't have the Twitch account. so
Oh,
he
I
can't
got
type.
it. Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah, he's just kind of busy. Yeah.
He's a busy guy. You know, he just listens on the plane. But, so what do you think of this beer? Because I know you're fairly new to the IPA world,
I am. Yeah.
but you said something refreshing, summary.
Summary. Yeah.
What do you think?
I think it's good. It's got a good. Hang on. Let me get a sweat. Hang on 1 second.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's good. It's very. It's potent. It's pretty sour. But I'm a fan of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm starting to get into it more and more. I haven't been a big. I haven't told you this, but I've talked to him about it. I haven't been a big beer guy. But when I first started tasting it at all, it was Pilsners, and everyone was like, "Ugh, who drinks
Basic
Pilsners?"
beers.
Yeah. So anyway,
And we do
I'm
have another one
dabbling.
to try too, which I've never tried before.
Is the hazy IPA?
No, it's a hazy ale.
What?
Yeah, and it's called Wonderlush, and it had really cool art.
This
why you
one is
got
pretty
it.
cool.
It's like
too.
summer travel theme.
Yeah.
Well, this is Stone. You've probably had Stone before. No Stone beers?
Never
Stone
had a
IPA?
Stone.
Nothing?
Stone is known for like kick.
Yeah.
IPA.
Yeah,
it
so
definitely
that,
has
that bitterness you're tasting.
I thought it was the tangerine, but
Nah, well, that might contribute to the flavor a little
Right.
bit, but it's really like all of their beers, all IPAs are going to have that. It's from the hops, which is the stuff that gives beer flavor, and so they just use a lot.
yeah.
And maybe potent ones. I don't really know the science, but that's where the bitter flavor comes from.
Got you.
And yeah, people that get into IPAs get addicted to that bitterness. They want the
I
craziest.
do. I want it to be as bitter
kick
as
in the
humanly
face.
possible.
I'm surprised like you guys haven't tried, like being from California, haven't tried making your own before.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
I
surprised
almost
too.
did. I almost did. So my wife bought me for my birthday a few years back, like a little beer making kit,
kit,
you pick
yeah.
up. But I honestly just never got around to it.
Do you still have it?
And I think we left it at Tim's house and moved to Nashville.
Dang it, Tim.
But we can always go pick one up. It's like $30.
I was gonna say they've got
Make
a
one.
this place called what is it called? It's like a beer and garden place actually. All Seasons is what it's called. It's down if you follow 8 Franklin where it turns to 8th, and there's like a boat and marina shop down there. There's a All Seasons brewing place, so they've got like it's weird combination of like garden supplies and beer making kits. Really, really
That is
interesting,
weird.
but it's cool.
That's a weird
It's a
combo.
cool place.
So what's it called?
All Seasons,
All Seasons.
All Seasons.
it might be worth checking
brew
out.
and gardening.
I
Garden
would like
for
to
the
try- I
summer,
would like to
making
try to
beer
make
by
a batch
winter.
of beer.
There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we should
that sounds
totally make
cool.
beer.
I
I
don't
was
know
just
why I
throw
like
Hideout
mead.
Brew.
Mead is just honey, right?
It's just
fermented honey.
Yeah, just fermented honey.
and
So you
water.
literally, like, I watched a video on how to make it. Like, the simple way. You just take, like, you can get, like, a gallon jug of water.
Yeah.
Dump out, like, a quarter of it. Mm-hmm. Put a bunch of honey and some yeast, and that's it.
How long?
Like a month.
Okay.
You just let it sit there, and then you got mead.
Yeah.
That's it. And they have little things you can do to make it, more exact and whatever. Little tools you
My
can
buddy
use.
Nathan told me the other day that he found a can of strawberry preserves
Yeah.
that had been sitting in his car for like maybe years or months. I don't know, something crazy.
Wine.
And he pulled it out and he said it smelled like wine.
Yeah.
It was like
I mean, it probably
strawberry
is.
wine.
It is.
Drink it down.
Did he
That's a
drink
dice
it?
roll.
No.
Oh, I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
you're gonna die.
That's a
You
huge
don't want to do
dice
that.
roll.
Not
Yeah,
crazy.
I wouldn't do that.
So your podcast started off as Hume, and it was real etymological.
Etymological,
say?
philosophical,
But-
theological. Yeah,
But at some
all the
point, you
articles.
moved to being husband.
Yeah.
How did you make that move?
Man, there was a lot of like conversation about it. I had a lot of thoughts about it, and I don't want to say like God spoke to me and was just like, do this, but in a way, like I just felt like that direction was kind of put on me a little bit, just by the amount of listeners that I had and the conversations that they were having. They were like, dude, I need to know how to like take this whole idea about being made in the image of God into like relationships. I need you to break it down where it's like making sense. So yeah, I started it after that, and I did the Being Husband series, which was the first series that we did was How a Husband Handles, and it was all the things that husbands handle. And then this second one, this Becoming
Primarily
Husband.
their wives.
Yes, yes, yes. No, and that's funny that you said, man. And that's the thing too, man, is that because Jerry and I always talk about it. He's like, man, women are they're crazy, man. And in a way that it's foreign to a man because it's something different.
It is different.
It's yeah.
And we were talking about.
We
the
could
other
talk
day.
a lot about his wife. Well, first off, she might be watching right now, so you got to be careful there. But
Yeah.
second off, I've known her her whole life.
You're a brother, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've known his wife longer than he has.
Yeah.
Well, what was it? There was she was going to some event or something. She was busy working. I don't know, like a few weeks ago. We were walking out of work, and I was like, man, like she's gonna be gone tonight. It's like I got nothing else planned. Like I'm just free. Like I can just do whatever I want. Like that doesn't really happen.
What did you do?
I probably went
just
home and played video
streamed.
games. Yeah. Probably one of those things. But it was like I had no responsibility. It was like, oh, everything is so simple when all you got to worry about is you.
Yeah.
And you lose part of that when you get married.
You do.
Watch out.
You do.
Yeah.
Well, and there is a little bit of an ominous tone, right, when he
Right.
talks about it. But
There's pluses too.
there's pluses, and also I think as a man, like being able to take on more responsibility is not a bad thing. I think stretching yourself a little thin makes you a little stronger. You know, and that's kind of the gist of the podcast.
It's
Is
balance.
It is right. It's not being the wild man that has no cares, but it's also not being the doormat that just is a yes dear and a yes man to everything his wife says. There has to be a center to that, and that's kind of that's where I come in. Is the guys that I talk to a lot of times lean on either side of the other. And my aim, and myself even, lean on one side or the other. My aim is to kind of just, to that guy that's like the yes man, just gotta say, hey, you need to kind of say it with your chest a little bit. You need to kind of get some, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the guy that's
Got
kind
some
of the
chutzpah.
right, and then the wild man, I'd say, hey man, this is a woman, man. You got to treat her a little softer, tender, essential oils, clearing sage,
Kenny G.
Yeah, man.
Spaghetti.
Yeah, exactly. Spaghetti. You remember it? That's wild.
I got a memory. Well, for auditory stuff.
Sure.
Yeah, like I can.
You do that kind of stuff all day.
Yeah, I guess so. It's weird. Like
Yeah.
if I listen to a podcast, I can remember everything.
Weird.
Everything.
You must well not listen to enough podcasts.
No, I just got an auditory memory. What can I say? I'm in the right
impressive.
career field.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, wow, you're special snuff. You're a special snowflake.
there it is.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
See, wait, what? Special snowflake?
So,
Snowflake?
so tell me more.
Is there
What's
an
like
award?
to?
Is there an award for that, or like a badge we can give you?
I believe so.
I think
Yeah,
that
a
needs to-
participation trophy.
Yeah.
I think that
Definitely comes
Y'all
with
should start
participation
passing them
trophy.
out on here for your different people.
It's fine. I already have several trophies in the window. If you can't see,
Okay.
does.
That is my millennial
seventh
Hall of
place.
Honor.
There you go.
Thanks, Floppy.
Oh man.
Oh yeah, but so you've been doing this now for what 6 months, almost 6 months,
Almost 6 months. Yeah, 6 going on 7.
How many episodes? And you got a lot of episodes. You come out with more than one a week usually, don't you? Or you did in the beginning.
I
don't know
did
if
in
you
the
have been.
beginning, yeah. So I've switched to one now.
I think you've passed us a number of episodes,
How many episodes y'all have?
30 something.
I mean, I could
You're pretty
look,
close.
I
You
could
must be
look right
pretty close
now.
now.
Yeah, I could look, but yeah, no. Before I was doing 2 a week. I was doing the Wednesday, or no, it So Monday or Wednesday show, and then I did a Friday show, which is a Freestyle Friday. And Freestyle Friday was always a follow-up to the previous one. But now I just do them once a week. And I scheduled it like that once a week because I was originally going to be going back to school. But I'm not going back to school anymore because I'm loving what I'm doing, and I think I'm doubling down on that and really focusing too. Me and my wife are building a house in Spring Hill. So all money in, no money out right now.
Yeah. That's got to be a lot.
Big bills. New
because you guys
mortgage.
are building it now. Actually, I haven't heard none of the details. Are you building it from ground up?
Ground up, brand new build.
So I mean, is it like a build where like you pick a plan? Or
Yeah.
are you going like this is just a random plot of land and I'm hiring some people?
Not that.
Okay.
So it is a subdivision.
Gotcha.
And so I picked a lot, or we picked a lot.
then you-
House is being built on it.
Gotcha. How long that going to take? A while, I bet.
Well, they started a while ago. So I mean, it's already framed and roofed. So
Okay.
at this point, it's about drywall and inspections and everything else after that. So I mean, they're looking at late September.
Oh, that's not too
Early
bad.
October.
That's soon. That's real soon.
That's real soon.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, man. It's
Kind of a drive. It's further than you live now, right?
further than where I live right now. So it's further south from where we work, and it'll be an adjustment. But man, Nashville rent's just too expensive. Where we live right now is in Cool Springs, and it's just it's too expensive. And I'm not trying to waste any more money. And my wife is getting in the mood where she's wanting to nest and all that kind of stuff. So I'm trying to be as responsible as I can with the dollar, which is tough to do.
It is, especially when there's not like
It's
making
not
a
pouring
$250,000
in.
or making $1 million here.
Yeah, well,
You just have-
it's trying to split the bread, the proverbial bread for the tribe, splitting it up amongst the seven,
proverbial bread.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
for people who are looking for like the genre that you do,
yeah.
for people, so who's the people you're looking for? Just anyone who's a husband, really? Or is it those outliers who suck at it?
Yeah, man. So if I could really target, the guy is a guy that is someone that, and I talked about the spectrum a minute ago, the polarity, but it's the guy that is really, really stuck in kind of people pleasing in relating to his wife and other people that he comes in contact with. It's that guy, and he doesn't have to be married. I think it's who that guy is the quintessential millennial guy who is just very
trophies in his windows.
Trophies in his windows, right? His mom, he does all the stuff for him. But seriously, there's guys I think in our generation are to what a lot of people are saying, they're a little more timid. And they don't have that, and I'm included in that. I mean, I'm a guy that, for lack of a better word, was a people pleaser for a large part of my life, and I still try to be, like I said, and I talk about this too, being kind and being nice. There's a difference, and the difference is that niceness is something that is polite and that makes sure everybody agrees with you, and being kind is telling people the truth. You know what I'm saying? Even if it makes them upset. And so I'm trying to get that guy, the guy that is so focused on people's opinions of him, and get him to say, hey, I'm a man, and this is how I'm going to show up in my home. This is how I'm going to show up with my kids. This is how I'm going to show up in my community, as being a guy that tells the truth. Kind guy, not a nice guy. So that's kind of my
Not a
banner.
nice guy.
Yeah.
It's very, very in alignment with like a Jordan Peterson mentality.
Definitely, it's crazy. When I started listening to him, I was like, man, he's speaking my language. He probably would have listened to Hume. He would have loved it.
Yeah.
But he's cool, man. I feel like he just kind of gets it. So
All right, well, he gets mislabeled a lot too. He gets mislabeled as alt-right,
he gets mislabeled
which
a
is
lot.
insane. If you've ever actually heard anything that he's ever said,
He's not alt-right, because
I think
alt-right's whole principle is like, their whole thing is correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like have the government like make plots of land where white people can stay and plots of land where black people can stay. And I don't think that Jordan
That's
Peterson
crazy.
has ever touted that.
I feel like
yeah.
that's alt-right. I think
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
a less extreme version of alt-right.
Yeah, there's
But
definitely
they're
less.
also crazy.
Definitely,
right?
yeah.
Well, I mean,
Like, damn.
alt-rights you're talking, KKK or alt-right. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
Well,
they're in that
I encourage y'all
category.
to look up who Richard Spencer is, because that's his main position. Is we need to create separate nations.
Right now, but
That
Richard
is
Spencer
wow.
is also known.
Yeah.
I mean,
Wow.
he's a he's an extremist of extremists.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
he's an absolutely
He's super
terrible,
alt-right.
real gnarly guy.
Yeah.
But so I can't take that guy and put him in the same category as someone like Jordan Peterson.
It's not the same.
It's not the same.
It's not the same
I
at
don't
all.
even- to be honest, I don't even know that I can honestly say that Jordan Peterson is right leaning.
I don't even know that he is either.
Like, he's not left leaning.
No.
He's just reasonable.
Reasonable. Yes.
And there's like, and it stands out so much because we have a lack of reasonable people
Agreed.
just in general.
Well, think about his whole shtick. His whole shtick is face your fears, tell the truth, and do what's right. His whole banner is personal responsibility.
Right.
And why is that a political issue?
Yeah, the reason political issue is because the way he got popular. So the way he got popular, for those who are listening, the way I know we all know, but the way he got popular was he's a Canadian, works at a Canadian university or teaches there, or
Right.
did.
Right.
I think he's still technically on sabbatical.
I think he is, which is a really, really long sabbatical.
Yeah, they don't want him back.
Yeah.
Let's be real. And also, he said he doesn't know if he wants to go back. But
He's doing better without it.
Canada passed a law saying if someone wants to go by a certain gender identity, whether it is he, she, or the other ones,
Sure.
Z, there's a bunch. I don't know.
Let's not get into
Whatever they are, yeah. Whatever it is they want to go by, you are legally required to do it. So it made misgendering illegal. And what Jordan Peterson said was that is an encroachment on freedom of speech, which Canada doesn't technically have freedom of speech.
Right.
But they have, some equivalent. He said this is an encroachment on human rights.
Well, so his like actual language that he says is compelling speech.
Compelling
The
speech.
government
Yeah,
is
they're
compelling
compelling your
speech.
speech.
Right.
And I think it was heavily focused on the Z, Zers,
Yes. Well, then he said,
Sim Sim Salabim, all those.
well, then he made a distinction. He said, if the student wants to come to me peer to peer, I'm happy to oblige.
Yeah, and I've heard him say that in a number of interviews where he just says, I've never not called somebody
What they wanted
what
to be
they
called.
asked me to call.
Exactly.
He's like,
exactly.
it's not about that. It's about the law compelling me to do it.
To say something.
And because of that, I have to be against that law. Which is
Reasonable.
such a reasonable thought.
Reasonable.
And because
Reasonable.
the issue is based around a gender issue, he is slammed as being alt-right.
Yes.
Which is crazy.
It's wild. Well, it's
Well,
funny.
it's just a character assassination attempt
Yeah,
by
but...
for sure.
by people on that side.
Yeah, well, it's people... Well, the thing is, it's people on the thing is, people on alt-right or alt-left, they both don't like him.
Neither one of them like
Yeah,
him.
they both hate him.
They both don't like him.
Because people on the alt-right don't think they think he's left. And people on the left think he's alt-right. So,
Yeah.
Because if you're on any of those extremes, you're
insane. You're insane.
You're
Yeah.
an insane person.
Just be a regular ass person. Just be a regular ass person.
Tweet, retweet. I like that. No, I mean, I don't think it's difficult to be. Well, and that's the thing too. They probably would label me the Being Husband podcast. Oh wow, that's very, very patriarchal, sir. I don't think we need any of that going on. And I've thought about it a couple of times. I'm
being
like,
husband. How about just being partner?
yeah.
Being partner?
Yeah.
Being gender neutral partner?
It's crazy. But the thing about it is that I just think we all would do well to just simmer down. And let's just all have a
Simmer down.
Yeah, it's simmer. There you go. I like that. Is that from a movie? I've seen somebody do that before.
SNL.
Nice.
Have
Who
you ever
does
seen
it?
that old clip?
I haven't seen that skit. I've seen people do it.
Simmer down now.
Who says it? Do you
Dude, I
remember?
think it was like Sherry O'Terry. Like
That's
I think
perfect.
I believe she's like a
really good.
waitress. Like, simmer down now.
Simmer down
Like,
now.
we're simmered. We're fine.
Yeah.
Simmer down now. And she just goes like. Goes
You're really
hardcore.
good at that.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been practicing Sherry O'Terry impressions for years.
That's pretty. Yeah, that's awesome.
No, I'm just kidding.
I think
But
we
I had a
need to.
teacher in 7th grade who was an aspiring comedian. It was like his night hustle that he did.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
That's cool.
Mr. Cheraboga.
Is that his name?
Yeah, weird
wild.
name.
We've never heard of him, so
Yeah.
it did not succeed.
Dude, if I paint a picture for you, I think he's like mid 40s, dark hair, in a bowl cut.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and now maybe it wasn't as much of
Did
a
he have
bowl cut as
glasses?
I thought as a little kid. No glasses, but big, thick, like 80s mustache,
Oh,
like
man.
all our dads used to have, I
stash.
imagine.
Yeah.
and exactly. And anyway, he would tell us about. Do you guys know who Horatio Sanz is?
I don't.
He was on SNL.
Okay.
He like did a set with Horatio Sanz one time when he was still on the come up. It
was like the
and
best
he was
day of
telling
his
us about
life.
that.
Yeah.
No, well, I think it was even way before he was famous, to where he was like, "This is a guy who's going places, kids." But he would like tell us jokes and do stand up in class and. Anyway,
That's cool.
But yeah,
Like a fun teacher.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think he showed us that simmer down
Simmer
now.
down
So,
now.
so yeah, you were saying we all got to simmer down.
Simmer down. Well, and have a conversation. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. I think that's going to be the only way that we
No one
laugh.
wants to.
Good
No one
night.
wants to have a conversation. Everyone just wants to be right.
Everyone wants to be right.
See, I take a stance, and this stance is or the way I take stance is rub some people the wrong way, which I don't care about. Which is, I believe that everybody is allowed to have their opinion, and you can have that opinion. And I think if you do have an opinion, it should be a strong one. Otherwise, why bother having that opinion? And I'm more than happy to discuss my opinions or anybody else's opinion, whether they're right or wrong. And usually I'm right. But if you're not willing to defend your opinion, then you don't deserve to have that opinion.
Agreed. Right, because
And most people don't like that.
no, they don't. Well, most people want to be spoon-fed information. Most people just want a little bit so that way they can like have a conversation, like very brief conversation.
Okay,
But
let
no
me
one-
get esoteric for a second, okay? Because
Oh.
here's the thing.
Yeah.
I've had this kind of a conversation a lot of times with a lot of different kind of people, you know? Because I think this is a conversation we all have with different people, different times, right?
Sure.
Would you say?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
agree.
okay. Have you ever met the other people, though, that we're talking about? I haven't.
Which ones? The ones who are willing to discuss and
No.
fight for their opinion?
No. Everybody you talk to, that I talk to anyway, is like us. Would say like, people, or just everybody wants to be spoon-fed, or nobody wants to be reasonable. Like, I just wonder, like, are we talking about a mythical group of people that maybe don't exist, or maybe are a minority of humans? Like, maybe more people are reasonable than we think, but we only pay attention to, well, two parts. Part one, maybe we only pay attention to the people who say extreme stupid shit. Part two, maybe we're all just misinterpreting each other, because the people that we latch onto, it's all like tweets and social media, and maybe we're misunderstanding, or do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I get that. I think that's a really humble approach, but I think there are people that
But
we're
people
talking
still
about.
suck.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
It's not that people suck.
I mean, to be
It's-
fair, people do suck
Be-
generally. I don't. That's just.
All right, I'm not saying that people suck. Maybe I'm the optimist in the room, and I don't think that. But I know people that when you ask them their position on, let's say, gay marriage, okay, let's just say that, okay, everyone that not everyone, but people that I've talked to go to the exact same argument that I've heard either on Fox News or CNN. No one is saying, well, let's actually have a conversation about what that looks like. I've given it this thought. Here's what this side says. Here's what that side says. There it is.
Yeah.
No, and this is, and I don't mean to blow smoke up your butt, but I'm
That's
just
fine.
gonna say this. Jury has
Blow all
been
you want.
I will blow smoke up your butt. Here. Well, it's vape. It is vape.
Jury has been the best at that. Jury has been really,
That's why
really
me and
good.
Jonathan
best.
get along so
Let's go.
good.
But he's had very strong opinions that are in opposition, but he's willing to listen.
And that's,
the thing.
So, well, first, Floppy had a good point in here when you were talking, Ryan. He says most people don't realize that they want to be spoon-fed. A lot of people don't claim that they want to.
Yes.
So even though if they are, they're not necessarily acknowledging and claiming that.
That they're spoon-fed.
Yeah, but
Right.
also people who are in this category that I think we're talking about are not as easily identifiable because they're passive about it. So, or they get angry. Those are the two steps. So if I were talking about, let's say, gay marriage, because you brought that up, and one person's taking a stance one way, and a person, and let's say it's one of us taking a certain stance, and then one of these people in this group that we're talking about are taking the opposite stance, they will either disagree with you and get angry, or just be like, yeah, whatever.
Or shut down. Exactly.
Just shut down and not, and that sect, that people who shut down or won't discuss it, or just now write you off in their mind because of that opinion, those people are hard to identify, but also those people suck. So,
Yeah, and to your point though, Ryan, I mean, there is a little bit of that because this conversation has had quite a bit. There probably is a lot more reasonable people, but here's what I want to happen. Reasonable people, I think, need to be way more vocal. Reasonable people are very, very
like Jordan Peterson.
Yeah,
He's very vocal.
He's very vocal, and you and I are very vocal in our own kind of ways.
Right.
But
He's very vocal about a reasonable opinion.
exactly right. But I think
Which
the
sounds
reasonable
so
people.
ridiculous when you say it like that.
What's that?
They see very vocal about a reasonable opinion.
Yeah.
But that is what we need. You're not wrong.
You know what I'm saying? It's this understanding that I'm willing to have a conversation with you and not get upset and call you a name or that you're just an evil person because you think that taking money from people that have it and giving it to people that don't. I used to be a guy. I'm gonna tell you this, and I've talked about this on the podcast. I used to be a guy that would look at someone that disagreed with me politically and write them off as of the devil or something like that. And that's not always the case. Sometimes it's the case, but it's not always the case. It's not always the case.
The devil.
Yeah, right.
Wait a minute.
Now, see, Well, so I mean, Hitler, right? I mean, me and Hitler sat down and have a conversation. You're definitely of the devil, but like, but jury, you're just a dude.
Yeah. We'll see. I thought you were going to say dick. Well, okay. So back into Thoughtland here. God, hopefully I can remember what I was going to say. What were you going to say?
Nothing. I was going to make fun of that you said Thoughtland.
Fair. That's fair. Okay. God, I forgot my point. Never mind. Go
Fair
on.
enough.
It's all good.
But yeah, but the thing is, you're
You
right.
got
The
me with that
loudest
devil
people
thing.
are the people on the extremes.
Definitely.
That's just how it is. And
The
that's what we
reasonable
see.
people have I think the reasonable people have checked out. They've said, you know what? This is too crazy. No one's listening. I'm just going to go bury my head in the sand. A lot of the reasonable people that I know are just like, you know what? I stopped watching the news like 5 months ago.
Yeah.
I don't even have social media anymore.
Oh, yeah.
I've just totally fallen off the face of the planet.
I
And I'm
stopped
just,
7 years ago.
yeah, and it's like I get that, like I get the reaction, but the thing is, you got to find some way to be a little bit engaged so that you can have conversations that the culture's having, like this toxic masculinity conversation. That's something that we need to talk about. Is it a bad idea to be competitive? That's something that we need to talk about because that has a lot of ramifications in how we do sports, how we do business, all these different things. So.
He says, I think the younger generation, this is from chat.
Oh, cool.
My generation is what it is, not mine.
Who's talking?
This is Floppy.
Oh, okay.
Isn't vocal at all. I like to think I'm vocal, but most of my peers don't talk about anything. They're just given an opinion by their parents and run with it, or they're vocal about shit that doesn't matter.
Amen,
Which is
Floppy.
possible. Which I definitely think that does fall and categorize a lot of people. But I do think that right now with people who are like your age, because you're 19, I think.
Floppy is?
Yeah, I think. Not you. Yeah, you're 26.
Yeah, I'm the old guy in the room.
The old guy. Yeah.
Not in this room.
And I think that there is like this sect of people who have attached themselves against what their parents are. Their parents are, especially people if they are baby boomers still. Which are you? Would your parents?
My parents are...
Your parents are older.
Yeah, they're boomers. So it's boomers, Gen
But
X,
it's potential
millennials.
that people, it's like someone like Floppy who is 19, their parents could be a millennial.
No.
No. That's too...
No.
It's-
Gen
Well,
X.
no. No. Probably not.
Millennials start at 81 at
Right.
the earliest.
Yeah.
So that means that they were 18 in like 97, right? Or 99.
99.
Which means that if they had a kid when they were 18,
Holy crap.
Yeah.
You're
their
right.
kid would be 20 now.
So if you go real young.
If you go
So
old,
if you have young
real young,
parents, yeah.
old
Floppy,
millennial.
please confirm, were your parents 18 when they gave birth to you? Do you have millennial parents? We're sorry for you.
but most people of that age, between like 18, 20, that age right now, their parents are baby boomers.
Yeah.
And baby boomers tend to, as a whole, there's obviously wide variation, but tend to be a more conservative people, especially as they've gotten older.
Yeah. Well, they've worked a long time.
Right.
Also.
Yeah.
I think you're describing baby boomers we know because the other side of the baby boomers
side's
is
hippies.
literally the counterculture.
Yeah, it's the counterculture, but
The
I would
baby
say
boomers
the bulk-
were the counterculture. They were that.
For a
Well-
while, but I don't know that they stayed there.
No, because
man.
baby boomers
Not
started
all.
really
Yeah.
early.
Bernie Sanders would be a baby boomer.
Yeah. But he's a rare turtle.
But he's rare. Yeah, I would say
He's
most
so
people
rare.
of that generation.
Good
most
foreshadowing.
people who are- most people who are between the age of like 40 and 60 right now, I would say the bulk of like your regular person, not your politicians or whatever, like
Right.
your regular persons tends to be more conservative.
Well, and the thing is too,
That's anecdotal.
you also have to think like the baby boomers that might be positioning themselves as like
There you go, Lily.
radical. They're conjuring up the new voters, right? They're kind of getting them hyped.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Somebody like a Bernie Sanders has a really big millennial and Gen Z following,
Yes.
not a boomer following.
No, not at all. But
You know what I'm
saying
saying?
he's the rare case.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, he's more rare.
That's what I mean.
And so, but there's like these new people who are between, like around your age, Floppy, or you, Lily, and who are people your age, when your parents are more conservative, they're breaking out, and now they are being the, not, I don't want to say extreme left,
Yeah.
but extreme left.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Fair
Like
point,
that,
yeah.
those are the people you see screaming on social media
Right.
about all the hot topics from the most leftist point of view, which is kind of in rebellion against their parents. I would
It
think.
is. Right. I agree with that. For sure. So you're typing right now?
Yeah, yeah. He says you see
cool.
people in his generation just bandwagon to one side and call the other Hitler no matter the argument. And that's exactly what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is their parents thought this and we think the opposite.
Yeah.
And no matter what you say,
Hitler.
we are offended. We need a safe space.
I wonder what they'd say about the podcast. I mean, I think that'd be wild because I think my podcast isn't directly offensive at all. I mean, I think it's reasonable.
Didn't you know you were alt-right?
Yeah, no, I'm super all right. The black guy is super all right. You know what I mean?
I don't think
Like,
you're allowed to be legally. I don't think
Yeah.
you're legally allowed to be alt-right.
No.
Well, you've seen the Dave Chappelle episode where they had the black racist.
The
Yeah.
blind Klansman?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Blind Klansman.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It can
That's a
happen.
great one.
It can't. Super
There's let me-
rare.
I think sometimes I like to think this way. You tell me there's not even one in the whole world, one black alt-right guy. There's got to be. Only because there's everything.
Well, there
You know what I
was
mean?
until they lynched him.
Yeah, right. Because they don't like him.
unless they made exception. I don't know. Maybe they made exception because they're like, he could be our emissary.
Yeah, so
I don't
Lily
know.
Floppy, your parents
That's
are boomers.
wild. That'd be nuts if that was possible.
I'm completely inventing bullshit off the top of my head.
There it is.
I'm just
No, I mean,
Just-
it could be. It definitely
tell
could.
me there's not even one. When you think about it that way, it's like, God, there probably is one.
Probably is one dude.
Just one guy.
Yeah,
one guy,
Just one
Steve.
dude. What's his name?
Steve.
Yeah.
That's
Fucking
his name.
Steve.
What does Steve look like? Let's paint
Ruin
that
it for
picture.
All I
everybody.
can picture in my head is Steve at work, so I can't picture
Not a
something
black
else.
guy.
He's not,
Not
a black guy.
at
He's
all.
like the stereotypical boomer. Like, he's like,
Well, maybe that's it.
Old white guy comes and
jeez.
is wearing a suit every day.
Well,
and
maybe he, to you and I, Steve looks like a white guy.
Yeah.
But he has like
No,
a
he's definitely a white-
great granddaddy who was black.
Yeah.
And so they're like, we'll accept you.
Yeah. Yeah. There it is.
When we make the tracts of land, we'll give you a better one.
You know what's wild is how expansive like the Klan was. It was like in the
Yeah.
50s and 60s there was like 3 million members.
What?
3 million
In my head,
In
it's
America.
like
Like 8 guys.
500.
It's like eight assholes.
Yeah, no, 3 million, dude.
That's
And
insane.
the thing is, I forget the date, but they marched Washington, and it was like bunches of them.
Could you
It was a
imagine
thing.
if they did that today? They'd call like the National Guard.
They would and drop
like, take
bombs.
them out.
Drop bombs on them, dude. Drop massive bombs on them.
Like,
Yeah.
That's insane. And
It's
that's good. We
wild.
should drop massive bombs on. To be fair, that'd be a
They're
good move.
wild,
I'd be
man.
like, well done.
Yeah.
Okay,
Jeez, dude.
here's another one of my opinions I don't share.
This is the podcast for opinions we don't share. No,
There it is. No judgment zone.
No, just thoughts sometimes I have thoughts, and I would say that they are free thinker type of thoughts. That it's like
We'll judge
you're-
them, don't worry.
You're not going to get anybody on any side to agree with you because you'll see. It's
weird.
But this thought was, it's like when we talk about the Klan and how much has changed this country on that issue. A lot of social change, even like a more modern one would be like gay marriage.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, let's just say like left-leaning social change issues.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I personally lean on a more conservative side.
Yeah.
But sometimes I think I would rather live in the world that has more left-leaning social laws, but just be myself, my like, I think it's easier for me personally to live more conservatively, but in a more liberal environment than the opposite.
The liberal and conservative environment.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'll give you an example. This is not a good example. It's slightly more metaphorical, I'd say. Like the church I go to is pretty hyper charismatic. Like, I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's real. People get really into it.
Yeah.
And I'm a little more. I don't. That's not comfortable for me.
Not your thing. I get it.
But if in an environment where people are okay, like jumping and dancing and all that stuff, I'm not gonna do that. But I feel more comfortable that any expression of worship I want to have, no one's gonna look at me weird.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sure.
Vice versa. Now contrast that with the first church I ever tried in Nashville. Was like a Presbyterian church. It was like very
opposite.
Yeah, it was like very
No movement.
no movement. Oh,
Yeah.
during worship, like people don't raise their hands. People just stand there and like read the words.
Yeah.
I'm not comfortable there because I'm like, ooh, anything I do might be weird.
Yeah.
So in other
You might do
words,
the wrong
like,
thing.
Yeah.
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 So if I'm in California, I feel like I could be more conservative. But no one's going to think anything I do is weird. Like, I don't got to think about...
Right. Unless you're hateful about it.
Right.
Which is a
I want to wear,
regular
like, a
person.
bright pink, like... What are these shirts called? With the little
V-necks?
straps? Not a
I
V-neck.
know.
You know what I'm talking about? Like, the...
Like tank
people
top?
wear tank top. Yeah, for, like, workout.
Cool. Okay.
If I wore, like, a bright pink tank top and, like,
Nobody would say anything.
a wig... Or, like, I dyed my hair some extreme color. Yeah, no one cares. Like, I'm
But
more
here
comfortable...
you stand out more.
Here I'd stand out.
More
I'm more
conservative,
comfortable living in a world where people you're not going to stand out because it's like anything goes. But then I live with my own personal morals within that place.
Yeah.
Now, part of that might, though, be because it's very easy to identify what is wrong about the right because we've seen that. Right? We've seen the extreme wrongness that the right can cause.
Sure.
Right? That's fascism. That's Hitler. Right? That's the extreme right.
Right. National Socialist.
Yeah. Where
I don't know that it's fair to call Hitler the extreme right.
Well, no, he is the very, very extreme.
That's what. Yeah. That. Well,
Yeah.
So British right and American right are different.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So.
But we've seen fascism. Which Hitler, maybe not Hitler notwithstanding, just fascism in general is the extreme right. We have a label for it. We see it when things start to seem fascist. We can say, hey, that's fascist. Don't do that.
Yeah.
But we don't have that as much for the left. The closest thing we have is just communism. But communism's, we don't really associate that with being left. We associate it with being communist.
Right.
It's like its own thing. So we don't know what extreme left really looks like in the manner that like America is pursuing. So we don't know what it looks like if, things don't matter, like gender or like whatever. Like we don't know when it's gone too far. It's hard to judge. We have a much easier way to see that on the right. I feel like this is more clearly defined. And it's the same thing.
I don't know if I can fully back up that that's accurate, but I hear what you're saying.
But I think the same thing comes into play with what the right and the left stand for.
Right.
So like it's easy to see like what like if someone is a Republican running for president, it's easy to identify what they're for.
Okay.
Okay, they're for whatever that thing is. Like the right always has like this thing. Like Trump is for business, bringing jobs back to America, and building the wall. You know what I mean?
Did you go for like
Alliteration.
all B's?
Yeah, that was nice. I like it.
But on the left, we're like they're for income equality, maybe.
No. The left social issues would be like for, God, my brain's slow right now.
Always civil rights.
I mean,
right? So
yeah,
trans, gay.
But the thing is, before that wasn't the case. That's new.
That's a new thing.
Before the right was the civil rights movement.
Yeah.
The
for
right
sure.
was the civil rights movement until recent.
Until very recent in history. Yeah.
Anyway, but left is pro-choice.
Yes. Yeah, pro super duper choice right now.
Pro super duper choice.
Which is wild.
What's hilarious is I was like, in my head, I was just like, I was listening to a podcast about this recently.
Yeah.
And it was your podcast.
And it was my podcast. Yeah. Well, I don't know if you, everybody has their thoughts. And I say this on the podcast. I'm not trying to DM you memes that jab at you, and I don't want you to put any on me that jab at me. I'm just saying that as a society, right now, and I talked about this on the podcast, we are down 16% in terms of human population. That means we don't have 16% of the people to replace the people that we've got
Which
right
I am
now.
fine with.
So there's jury's position.
We have too many fucking people.
So far, jury's position is most people suck and all
We don't
the
need
people
'em.
can die.
Yeah.
Is that what it looks like to be Hitler?
Yeah.
You just call me
So
Hitler?
maybe you are Satan. I don't know. That's wild. No, but
Get behind us, jury. Well, he kind of is. We're a little more in front of him. Okay, it's
Yeah,
fine.
there we go.
You're fine. Stay where you are.
There it
You're
is.
good.
Well,
already behind us.
it's the thing is, here's the thing.
Go ahead.
Automation is happening. We're not gonna have jobs for all these people anyways. Let's be real. Which is why I'm
According to that one YouTube video.
Right.
No, according to a lot of shit.
Yeah, that one YouTube video.
There's a lot of people that say
that's
that.
With the horses
It's-
and the cars.
It's
We
a
know.
conversation
I saw
people
that
are
video.
having,
I'm just,
for sure.
It's a
Yeah,
great
I'm
video.
just saying
But
that, like, hey, we've got a lot of people. When was the last time, like, let's say you want to go downtown for July 4th,
Yeah.
which is coming up. Man, I don't want to do that because there's too many people.
Yeah, but go
Imagine
to
going downtown like 7 years ago.
go
in
to
Nashville.
India and tell me there's too many people here.
Yeah,
Well, I'm sure there's
exactly.
also many people there.
Exactly. That's the point. And
That's why, exactly. You just proved my point.
no.
The opposite. I'm saying that
let's
you're
not-
It's not the same.
you
Let's
think it's too
reproduce-
much, but you're just being.
Let's reproduce slower. Let that population go to a more comfortable level.
Yeah,
everybody in
I think
India,
that
from
there was
what
a
I
guy.
seem to get
people.
along.
I think there was a guy, maybe Mao Zedong in China, that had that same kind of thought. I don't know. Maybe,
Hey, why don't we just have a one-child policy?
Yeah, that'd be
I'm not saying,
fantastic.
hey,
Yeah.
I'm not saying make it law because, yeah, exactly. Lily says I'm correct. People can go away. Exactly. But here's the thing: I'm not
You are
saying,
now the spreading of hate
Yeah.
live streamer.
Hate speech.
I'm
I'm
not
triggered.
saying-
I don't know about you, Ryan.
Oh,
I'm
so triggered.
absolutely triggered.
Don't
As
kill
a people,
right now.
very triggered.
Yeah.
as a people.
Yeah.
Don't kill people. Don't make laws saying you can't have kids.
Right.
Just as technology advances and people are generally getting smarter over time, let what naturally happens. And if we reproduce less and our population gets cut in half over the next 100 years, I'm fine with that.
Here's my question.
Well, I think what Jonathan was saying was that people are murdering other people too, and that's getting your result.
Right.
What?
Right. Well, so
That's different.
Well, so that's what. Well, that's,
I don't need to be murdering people. We're just not reproducing.
So the actual article says that there's 16% less. Abortion is actually down overall. But with the recent legislation that's going on, like being able to take babies out up to term and take babies out at, sorry if that offends you, but taking babies, terminating the pregnancy up to term, that's a thing that's been passed. I don't know if you guys been following it. So
New York, right?
But here's my thing that I think is really, really interesting that we're not factoring in. You're a financial guy and we work in higher education.
Sure.
Here's the thing.
Well, higher education. We work at a college. Let's be
We're good
real.
at college. All right. In any
high.
case, the and I don't know the percentage, but the amount of student loans that make up our national debt is outrageous.
1.5 trillion is what we're at right
So
now.
my question to you is, if we're 16% down, how in the hell do we get people to service that?
What, to service the money?
To service the debt? Because we have to pay it.
No, we don't.
What do we do?
Here's what I think we should do.
Okay.
Do you know Andrew Yang?
I don't.
Andrew Yang's running for president coming up. I don't agree with him on a lot of things, but I do agree with him on some things.
You talked about him.
Is this
Yeah, I
an
remember.
Asian guy going for president?
Yeah.
Sick.
And he's
I'm
all
into
for
it. Yeah. we fucked it up. Let's try an Asian guy.
the thing is, he's super smart. He came on. He was on Joe Rogan,
Okay.
and his big stance is universal basic income,
Not
Which-
into it.
which I'm very into now. I wasn't until I heard him talk about it and explain it, and I was like, you know what?
Okay.
Damn, you got a good point. And so, but he had a plan for student loans as well because he talked about it. And his plan was essentially the whole system is essentially a giant scam. It's all going to crash if we don't do something about it.
Yeah.
Which I've been saying for years now.
It is.
And so he said, you know, we honestly we just need to forgive most of it. Just put people on a 10% of their income for 10 years repayment plan and forgive the rest, and then stop giving out new student loans, force the colleges to downsize, superfluous administration, stop paying their presidents $1 billion a year, and let colleges close, and come back down to something that's really manageable and valuable instead of what it's now is watered down nightmare.
So, and that's
not putting some words in his mouth and paraphrasing and adding some of my own opinion.
I get it,
but that's in the direction of the stance that he was taking.
That's I guess so. So he's basically saying let's correct. Let's not try to pump more money into it. Let's just let the market
pumping money into a failing system.
I get that.
Take it down and start over.
But how do you? But that's the thing. The money is still outstanding, right? It's still on the balance sheet.
Sure, but it's when it's numbers that big, especially when okay, how much debt is the U.S. in right now in general?
I don't even know.
It's like some number that doesn't even make sense. It's at that point it's not real money.
It's not a thing.
Okay. And the thing is, it's kind of real money when it's to another country.
I get that. Well, in a lot of it is too. But
But the money that's just Americans owing the American government for this
just let it roll.
Insane amount.
Just let it roll.
It's time to just be like, hey, this system broke.
Interesting.
The Jews did that, dude. Every 50 years, the year of Jubilee.
True. Biblical.
Is that right?
Yep. Year of Jubilee. Everybody's out of debt. Slaves are free.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Old Testament. That's Old Testament law.
Yeah. Now, the risk of that is, the other side of it is also property goes back to who owned it 50 years ago.
Yeah.
So, and there's other things that I'm like, I don't know about all that. But,
but that's cool. God thought it was fine.
Yeah.
And you know what? And then he said, hey, you know what? That's all fucked. I'm going to send my son down and change all the laws. So... That's what he said.
I believe he said.
Word for word.
I remember reading something about don't add anything or take anything out of the Bible too. I don't know. But.
I was thinking that too. But I think that was in third jury's.
Second hesitations.
Yeah.
Look, I'm just saying things are different.
Yeah.
But but the deal with universal basic income. So what?
What's the sell?
What Yang is selling is $1,000 a month for everybody. When I did it myself and did the math, I came up with $1,500 a month was more reasonable.
Yeah, Jury actually came back from lunch with this very detailed plan.
I figured out how to make universal basic income work.
This is a conversation we had.
Your job is apparently very stimulating.
He actually did the math on lunch, actually.
I did the math on you. No. I did it while I was getting paid.
1,500. You think 1,500 is enough to live on?
Yeah.
No, I think 1,500 is what the universal basic income should be. And here's why. Okay. 1,500. So I looked up median or average rent costs for a one-bedroom apartment nationwide, and looked up average costs and things, car insurance, phone bills, everything that you need to just live. At $1,500 a month, you can do it. You can't do it in downtown LA, but you can live on $1,500 a month, and if you get married, now you guys have $3,000 a month, perfectly easy to live on. Okay, but here's where that money comes from, because that's the big question, right? Everyone's like, where does that money come from? And
Jeff Bezos, exclusively.
Yeah, kind of.
He could cover it.
Yeah.
But I think that, and you're not going to like this at all. So I figured out a 25% tax, flat tax 25% would cover just that. But on top of that, I think that, obviously other things need to be covered, military, healthcare, whatever it is. So I think that everybody should have a 50% tax. But, and that sounds crazy.
Yeah, when he told me that, I was like, not super into
cool.
it.
Burn in hell.
Cool.
Go on.
It's not, because here's the thing. If everybody, because of that, gets $1,500 a month, universal basic income, that's what they get. Then if you are making anything less than about $60,000 a year, your income, if you're between like 40 and 60,000, your income literally stays the same. That 50% is made up by the $1,500 a month, almost exactly.
But if you're above 60,000,
so under 60 grand,
40, 60,
it's just changes hands.
Nothing changes.
That's what he's saying.
Like for me, my income would not change with that extra tax plus the universal basic income. If you are below that number, you get a boost, and that's what the universal basic income for. Industries that are closing, people who can't have the income, it boosts them up.
Below what number?
Below about 40 is a boost.
Okay.
And the boost is more extreme the lower you go.
Yeah.
And if you go above that, you're already now when you get to about 250,000, currently you have a 40% tax. It's like 39 point something. So it's only a 10% increase for those people. And I do think that, and we should increase it and close all loopholes. And so
I think that's crazy.
Loopholes are nuts.
But it's already 40%. Like it's already what it is. Like this is not that much of an increase.
But I'll bet they don't pay 40%.
Well, and
No.
it's not 40% for everyone.
No, 40% of people above quarter million.
I'll bet 40% is, and I don't know because I've never made that much money in my life. But I have in my life I have, but not, you know what I mean, not in a year. I have a feeling that no one at that level pays 40%.
Maybe, but I'm also
40%
talking
is the
about-
high target because they're gonna.
But I'm also talking
that down.
only about personal income, not business income. Business income, it doesn't change in this plan at all.
What do you mean business income doesn't change?
So Qualcomm makes $100 billion that year. That's not 50%. That's whatever it currently is. That's not changing.
It's
in
the
this plan.
owner of Qualcomm.
Yeah,
that's
but the
paying
guy,
50.
like that guy's personal salary,
Earnings.
that's what's taxed.
Yeah, I think that's crazy, and here's why it's crazy. The fuck the government gonna take 50% of my money that I work for? Go to hell. They're
already
And here's the
taking
thing.
I dig it.
I'm making the amount of money I make currently. Well, it varies every year because I'm in music. It's crazy, but
Yeah.
I would probably be in that range of people you're saying you don't really see much happen.
But in a bad year,
But
you
here's
get a
the
boost
thing.
that
And
allows
here's
you
the
to
thing.
keep continuing.
Here's
to
the
be
thing I've
creative.
always had trouble with
Yeah.
people who have left-leaning tax business ideas. I worked with a folk artist or duo years ago, and they were talking to me, and they were like, "I don't understand why you lean more conservative, because the conservative party isn't like you don't make a lot of money. You'd be better off with a liberal in charge because you would get more." And my problem with that has always been like, well, you're thinking with this mentality that you're going to stay poor. And so you want the person in charge who's going to benefit you more. And that's not what I want at all. What I want is
The potential to be more
yeah,
than you are.
Yeah, it's two
Well, the thing is,
sides.
this
One,
doesn't take away that potential.
one is I think we should all think based on principles, not on not on us. So
Sure, absolutely.
somebody may or may not benefit me, but if they're actually principally it's a better idea, we should go with them. Okay, and number two, for me personally, I do not want to be broke for the rest of my life. Like, I want to aspire to be as rich as not as rich as I can be, because then I'd have to go into tech or something.
Sure.
But I aspire to want to be very wealthy and successful. So I don't want to, like, set up a system that helps me when I'm doing bad. I want a system that's going to be rad when I'm doing great.
Sure, and that's good, but there's a whole other side of it, which is, and now, to be fair, Kate, this is my personal plan. It's not Andrew Yang's plan.
Correct.
His plan, the money came from these different subsidies, and like, it's a whole lot of
Which one was the one where he was taxing the automation?
So his big thing is taxing the automation. That's what
Right,
it is.
not people,
So like,
taxing
like
the
it's shown
technology.
that 90% of truck drivers are going to be out of business in the next 15 years because they're going to have self-driving trucks. Like that's like coming soon, really soon.
Yeah, Tesla's kind of moving with
Exactly, and so they've
actually created laws now.
Take that, that creates like an extra. I think it was like $20 billion. I'm making up that number. It's around more like that a year in profit.
Did y'all ever see Joyride?
No.
The movie where the trucker's like trying to track down and kill the kids?
No.
It's scary as hell. I'm
Sounds
totally
terrible.
into self-driving trucks if it prevents
That-
murderers from truck driving.
So Andrew Yang's plan to fund the universal basic income is to tax companies using the automation to replace human jobs and use the
Interesting.
funds that are taxed from that to cover it, which I liked less than my personal plan.
I like that
But
more
you like
than,
it more. The thing is, the only reason you don't like my plan is because the 50% number is scary, but when you actually look at it, it's not that much different. Companies will make more money with this plan, which means your personal business make more money. And if you have a bad
Why
year,
do companies make more?
because they're not going to get taxed for the automation at this point, and that automation is a huge profit for them. But the people affected by the automation, who now, like, you can't, like the big joke is, go learn to code. He's getting like a guy who worked in a coal mine for the last 40 years. He's not going to go learn to code. And it's okay. We're saying that's okay.
Am I gonna have the automation safe job because it requires creative faculties and moving in a room?
Yes, creative stuff is automation safe. And the thing is,
fucking picked right.
universal.
Yeah, you did good.
But when you're having a
Go
bad
me.
year,
There it is.
Have you ever had a bad year and thought maybe I should get a job?
Yeah.
With universal basic income, you don't have to.
You can continue
You have
doing
the
what you're
freedom to
doing.
continue being creative.
It's interesting. The problem is that
You're just scared of the 50% number.
But we're
correct.
st- we're-
Yeah,
we're-
because there are people who are for 50% means they're paying the government $100,000.
Yeah. And,
Yeah,
well, then
sure.
that's the
but
thing.
But they're already paying him a big chunk of that
Or
already.
500 grand.
Here's the point, and I guess what I'm trying to draw on too is whenever I had that conversation on, I don't know, I think it was on what was it? Designed to Defend. And I was talking about getting away from the political and having the moral conversation. We have to ask the question, maybe this is a good idea that you're presenting, but we have to ask the moral question, is it right to take from people and give to other people?
Well, that you're talking from an anarchist point of...
No.
Of the government's bad.
No. I'm
That's
talking.
not the anarchist point.
It's not maybe it is to you. So let's frame it like this: Is it right to take from the guy that has 6 trees on his land that produce really well, and give to the guys that have no trees on their land? That's the question.
Well, in this tree-only society,
Yes.
it depends. Is that guy starving, and do we want to allow that to happen?
Moral
And the
question.
thing is that
That's
we
moral
can't.
question.
Good, and
But we can't
that's
take
where
away-
we need to be. It doesn't need to be. Does the policy work and this and that? We have to ask.
Well, the math still has to add up because if you have
We can't
only
take away the
policy-
guy's ability. I'm taking a whole new place. You cannot take away the guy's ability to fail who doesn't have trees.
He's not going to. You're not taking that away, and here's why.
No.
Let's say
You,
guy,
under your system, you want to make it so that guy with one tree cannot
has no
die.
incentive to plant.
He's fine.
You're right. I mean, you're right. I don't
And what I'm saying is, we have to allow the
Which is
guy
funny
with
because it
one
goes
tree.
against your 16% thing about we just need to get rid of all the jerk people.
I'm not saying get rid of it.
The guy with one tree has to be able to fail. I have
Right.
to be able to fail because if I'm not able to fail, then I'm not incentivized.
Well, he is able to fail.
To
still.
succeed.
He is able to fail.
But he's still protected. That's the point.
He's only protected to the point that he has an opportunity.
can survive.
He has an opportunity
do it
to
again.
not fail next time.
Okay.
That's all it's giving him.
I get that.
So what's interesting, I guess, about the whole thing is like what you're proposing or what Andrew Yang is proposing, what you guys are proposing together.
we have very different plans.
As you know, you are the
Yeah.
vice president.
Very different
in
plans.
this
Because
situation.
Andrew Yang is taxing the tech. You're taxing people.
Yes.
Yeah. I like him
And I'm
better.
leaving the business income. And I'm leaving the small business income alone. Or any business income alone. Big, small, whatever. Because I
Yeah.
don't think that small and big need to be separate. I think it should be the same. That's
Whatever.
a whole nother
But-
thing.
Podcast.
I think the interesting thing here is that you're creating
Exactly,
a new,
Floppy. And that boosts the economy because now people have this excess income on top of what they're already making.
Fair point, Floppy. I appreciate that. That's good. But that's
You're creating a new system in the earth that doesn't exist yet. So
Yeah, that's
I mean,
why
it's an
we're scared of
interesting
it.
experiment.
it is.
You're creating a system where it's like, hey, we as a society have all this money, so as a society, let's protect. It's basically turning us all into a big family where it's like we're the babies of the. If you're poor, you're the babies of the family. Daddy's going to take care of you so that
that's
you
not
don't
true.
die.
That's not true at all.
How's it not true?
All it's doing is saying we're gonna make it so you're not homeless, and you can live. If you want anything beyond that, beyond just life,
Right.
not homelessness, you have to work for it.
So again, exactly what I'm saying. You're creating a new structure that's never existed in the earth before.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
may or
that's
be
true.
good or bad.
That's
Yeah.
true, but I don't think it's fair to look at those people as the baby of society because those people might be people who are adding to society in a way that doesn't necessarily bring about big profit.
right.
Someone who is like an artist.
But that's the
Interesting
thing.
idea.
But the thing about it is that there's always people that take advantage of those systems.
Yeah, and there's people who take advantage of it right now.
That's my point.
And that's not going to change. There's always going to be those people.
Okay, so that dovetails into a conversation I have with like a lot of people in the arts because it's who I work with. And I think
Perfect example. Look at Ryan Steele. Okay, friend of the show. He's been on the podcast
friend of the show.
3 times.
Yeah.
4 times? 4 times? 3? And more than anybody else. He is an artist. He makes really good music. And he currently has to work as a busboy at a barbecue joint. Now, if he didn't have to do that and could focus full-time on music, that gives him that freedom. But if it still fails, he's still not getting anywhere. And he can still choose to get a job to supplement that universal basic income and work on it or not.
I hear you. Ultimately speaking, though, I think as soon as you went there,
Yeah, exactly, Floppy.
You checked out.
Completely
What are they saying?
sure you're fundamentally wrong.
So,
Let's hear it.
so Lily says, if someone doesn't have a job but is an adult, would they get? Oh, she's asking clarification. Would they get the 1,500? Yes. Anyone who's a legal adult. So yeah, Lily, you're right. It would allow your brother to be lazy for the rest of his life if that's what he wants. But it's not going to be a great. It's not going to be a.
It's not going to be a great standard of living.
But we're not going to let him just be homeless either.
So it's going to clearly. Some people are just going to take advantage of me, piece of shit.
Which they do now already.
Plenty of people, sure. And some people are going to be great. Okay, let me say this. Ooh. So I think the fundamental core of what you said that made me like, oh yeah, this is dumb, is this. I read a book a number of years ago called Thou Shalt Prosper, and it was written by a
If it wasn't written by Jordan Peterson, I don't know if I care.
It was written by a Jewish rabbi named Daniel J. Levitin.
Oh, I thought it was Lapin.
Maybe. Did you read the book?
Yeah, well,
I
just know who he is. He's great.
Yeah. It's one of those names.
Mm-hmm.
And in the book, he talks a lot about how Jews are particularly good with their money, and he is one, so he's allowed to say that. And he said, one of the problem that a lot of times, and he's speaking to more of like a Christian audience. He's like, one of the things that Christians have a trouble with money is that they've got kind of a dirty feeling about money. Mm-hmm. And so he explained his perspective on money, and he said, money is proof that you did something valuable to another human. For another human, I should say. Mm-hmm. So if you're a dentist...
I think that's a pretty naive
view.
Because a lot of times...
He's fucking smart enough to write a giant book, and you've done jack shit.
I could write a book if I wanted. It could be giant. It could be bigger than his.
Write it then. So let me finish my thought. So he says money is like you're a dentist. You have developed a skill and ability to help people. Somebody comes to you and they said, hey, here's 3 paper units that say you helped me this much. Now, of course, yeah, there are caveats.
Money by screwing
Somebody's
people.
A criminal or a screwing people, sure.
Or a car salesman. Like half of them. The other half are awesome people.
There are people who do bad things, for sure.
But generally speaking.
That's
how you earn money.
The way you earn money is by doing something for somebody else, providing
valuable to someone.
Value. Mm-hmm. Correct.
What if that's
something that they're willing to pay for.
Or
Now, obviously there are lots of things that like music is kind of a great example because currently people are providing value in making music and making records, and it's harder than ever to actually get people to buy that because there's the ability for people to get it for free. Mm-hmm. There's streaming and all that. So in some cases, people are providing value and yet not getting paid, and there's something broken there. But so I will just ultimately say this. Here's the thing I have.
Solution to that.
As somebody, I don't make a lot of money, but I make money, and I do it by serving I do it through art. But what I do is I serve other people's visions, what they want to do. I serve somebody else's dream. They want to be a big musician. They want to be a big star, or whatever they want to be. I'm not trying to put down their vision, but people have a vision for what they want to do with their art. And I serve that vision by providing a skill I have, and so they pay me. Here's the thing I have.
They pay your business.
This is an unnecessary distinction for where I'm going.
Sure.
Well, I'm not done. Thank you. People pay me because I bring a skill that helps them in their thing. Okay, so this is the core of what I want to talk about. Many people that I know who have creative skills, whether it's photography, videography, whatever it may be, but have not found a way to make a living off of it yet. I would say you, with streaming. Mm-hmm. People who do creative things but haven't found a way to make a living off of it, I look at what they're doing and say, but have you yet found a way that you're serving other people by what you're doing? Mm-hmm. Because I think, and so not being pointed towards you.
No, but not thinking of it that way.
Thinking of a friend in San Diego. I don't think he listens, so I won't. But I don't even want to say what he does. He does a creative art. He has not yet found a way to serve other people and do it good enough in order for them to pay him. People in our generation think because they have this creative skill that they should get paid for it.
Someone should.
Somebody should. And the thing is you have to go out and you have to find somebody who wants what you have, and you have to talk with them and say, I will give you what I have in exchange for dollars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but some
creativity...
And then
you provide that value.
But creativity can offer value without being currently valuable, but still push society forward. You look at Van Gogh as the perfect example. Mm-hmm. Van Gogh was hated in his time. He made no money and died broke.
Mm-hmm. And how did Starry Night change my life? Other than how it brought Topanga and that fucking homewrecker together.
And I'm just saying, the world would not be as good without Van Gogh's art. He's one of my favorite artists. Mm-hmm. But
What's your favorite painting?
I don't want to say Starry Night, but it's really good. Okay?
That's my favorite too.
Everyone loves Starry Night.
You know who else loves it? Tanner.
My favorite painting of all time is Nighthawks. My favorite painting of all time is Nighthawks.
Gosh.
For the record, Nighthawks, followed by what's his name eating his children.
Goya.
Yeah, like Goya is the painter.
I've never seen that
Great,
picture.
it's creepy.
It's
as fuck.
gnarly. They used
It's
to have
really
it.
creepy.
He used to have it in his house.
It was really creepy. It's really, really gnarly.
I'll be in prayer.
Thank you.
Wow.
Exactly, Flop. He changed how people perceive art, even though he didn't get value out of it right now.
And that's cool.
And our society right now says, stop doing that. Go get a job.
I just
I think you hit on a point though, because I think I do think that there is a focus in society, and particularly with higher education,
really.
on like go to college so you can get a job and produce, which wasn't the original intent of
But that's what we're teaching.
universities anyway.
That's what we're teaching. Universities used to be all about free thought and philosophy and art.
And becoming this person that you were like destined to be. It's self-actualization. It was less about being a drone to fit into the wheel and more about becoming what you were meant to be.
Right. And I'm saying in our modern society, that can't look like what it used to look like. And the way that it potentially could look like now is something with Saturn devouring his children. That's what it was. Thanks, Currency.
Is that your wife?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's Saturn. I couldn't remember who it was devouring his children.
Cool.
But it's Saturn. Is this allows an open door for saying, hey, we're not just going to let you die. We're allowing you to pursue something that is creative or not creative, or you know what, you can be a fucking bum, and you know what, we're just going to say you have a house to live and food to eat, and you can do with that what you want. But especially people who are going for the lower end tier jobs that don't exist anymore.
I've 100%. The Bible says, a man's hunger drives him on. I'm kind of like slightly misquoting him, but not as good with that quote as you see. It causes him to do things. And I think in my life, as you know, like there's money in my family, but that money doesn't get spent on us.
Sure.
But the thing is that the money in my family, this is like grandparents.
Sure.
They paid for us to go to college. Like they'll do that stuff, education, whatever, things like that. But they don't give you money to spend on whatever you want. You know what I'm saying? They're like, so the funny thing is, in my family, there's a lot of money, but I tend to live like not with a lot of money, and I'm having to like
grind.
Oh, I gotta finish this record so I can get to the next record. I gotta find new artists to work with because if I don't, I'm gonna die. And that feeling of if I don't work hard, if I don't hustle, if I don't figure out a way to become better than I am now, I'm gonna die. And the fact that and that's continued to push, what I'm saying is that's continued to push me to grow and become better and better and better over time. And even now, still 10 years into my career, I'm like, I need to become better. I need to become better because I don't want to live at this point.
But
and this point looks better than it did 10 years ago.
But this is one kind of person.
I'm not. I think all people are driven on some level by hunger, by what they want. And if you take away their hunger...
But you're not.
I think all of us. If you told me you don't have to work anymore, I would be like, "Fuck, dude, I'm done working with some of the people I work with."
Here's the thing too that we haven't accounted for is that that 1,500 that you're proposing, 5 or 10 years down the road, is not worth 1,500 right now because of inflation. So
and battling inflation is a whole other.
My point that I'm making is that the piece about him saying hunger, I think a man is going to be very hungry with 1,500. In 5 years, it's going to be starving in 5 years.
Well, it's true.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's what I'm saying is we don't want to give people enough money
to chill.
To just chill.
I get it.
We want to give them enough that we can say, hey, you don't. If you make the decision not to be homeless, you don't have to. But if you want anything else in life, you got to fight for it.
So your argument is that he won't want to stay there.
He won't want to stay there. Or if he does, you know what? Fine, fuck him. Let him stay there. Let him stay there. I don't care. He's not doing anything for me, and he's not going to hurt me either.
Yeah, and he'll go hungry.
I just don't think it's good.
Yeah.
But now I know that...
I think we've both watched people in our lives that would choose to just stay there.
And I'm fine with that. Stay there if you want to stay there.
But you got to pay for him to stay there.
That's fine. Because everybody
It's not.
is.
You're not down
because
with that.
you're also getting paid to pursue what you want to pursue. And that's why it's okay. Because you want to stay there, stay there. But I'm
I
getting
struggle with it so much, man.
Look at the people in this world who are wealthy. Do they do that with their families, and are they successful? No, they don't, and no, they're not.
It would, Lily, you're right. It would fund drug addicts. Some people would still be homeless. They just go do drugs.
And the people in this country that have extreme wealth, or even just wealth, they don't treat their kids like that. And if they do, they're the pieces of shit we all hate.
Spoiled kids.
Spoiled kids. What you're talking about produces spoiled kids.
Right.
Yeah, it can.
Yeah.
It can.
But honestly,
What good does it do if
the
it makes
people
spoiled
who are
kids?
spoiled are the people who would have been spoiled anyways, but still with the people making a ton of money.
It's not true. People become spoiled because they're given circumstances that allow them to be spoiled.
No, people become spoiled because of their own mindset. People can make
They
decisions
develop that
for
mindset because of their
themselves.
situation.
yeah,
People can make decisions for themselves.
That's fair. Right.
And I'm saying this gives them the opportunity to make the decision for themselves what they want to pursue outside of the constraints of all I need to do is pay rent. I think it's a great plan. I do know, John, that you have limited time. I think we're actually past your time.
We are. It's okay.
Unless you decide you want to stay anyways for another several hours.
That'd be great, but I need to go home and be husband. Actually.
Right. Yeah, I know
Like
your
the
wife's
podcast.
in 07 or whatever.
Back to the topic. But usually on this podcast, we tell the guests beforehand we're not going to go into the topics of politics or religion.
But the
then
other
yesterday,
day, I was
you were
like,
like-
let's drop that for this episode.
Yeah, that's kind of
That's
our
all we
thing.
talk about.
That's our thing. Yeah, I think I'll say this. I think, and I've said this on the podcast too. If you guys ever want to listen,
That's called being husband.
Being Husband Podcast. That's at Being Husband POD. That's at Being Husband Pod on Instagram. So shameless plug. But
Yep.
the thing that we talk
this is
about.
what you should plug. So plug away.
One of the things I talk about on the episode is that we've got to be able to have those kinds of conversations. There was a quote I can't remember, and I'm going to paraphrase, but it's not that we have to kill each other when we talk about theology and politics. It's that we never learned how to have hard conversations with people.
Right. Try having this conversation with someone on the extreme left or extreme right.
You're
It's
not.
not a conversation at all.
No, you're either a bigot or a libtard, and I'm neither of those things. I'm a person. I'm a husband. I'm a man, and I've got a mind.
Yeah. So we'll have to have you back on again.
Ooh.
Continue this for a
Yeah.
nice long one.
Yeah, I'm down. When's the next one? Just tell me.
We currently have
It's
no
every
one
Friday.
scheduled, so it's all
No
good.
one's scheduled?
Yeah, we currently don't have anyone scheduled for the next. He's going to be gone in July, though.
Okay.
Right? We don't know when.
So
We're gonna
pretty sure we might get one in the beginning of July, but pretty sure we're going to be offline for July and we'll be back in August.
Okay.
So we might have one or two more episodes before we go on that break because he'll be out of town.
Okay. Let me look at my schedule, and
Yeah.
if you're
Right now
already-
we don't have anyone scheduled. So far as I'm concerned, I mean, I'm enjoying the conversation.
Yeah, and we can get into all kind of stuff, man. And if your audience is willing to have me, I'll be happy to come on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be sick.
But we do have to wrap it up today. I know it's a little shorter than a normal episode by about an hour. But actually, it might not be our shortest episode. We had one that was really short because someone had to play a show after.
He went to a show.
Or he went
yeah.
to a show.
Yeah.
He's just chilling.
It's true.
But,
No, not the shortest episode. Yeah.
yeah, but this
Sick.
is just right around the shortest episode.
Good.
But we'll
Just
continue it
had to
again
get
in
that
part 2 soon.
Take it.
Either coming up in the next few weeks, maybe, or in August,
Next
or
week.
whenever.
But-
I'll figure it out.
We have a very important question.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. I almost let it slide. What am I even doing with my
Good
life?
foreshadowing.
So we have a question that we ask every guest.
Okay.
I know you've never listened to one of these episodes because they're long, and also you have other shit to do in your life. I don't hold it against you.
Yes. I listened to parts of it.
Nice, good man.
The clips. Mostly just the clips.
You haven't gotten to this part.
Yeah.
We got to this part. But we ask this question of every guest. Okay. So, if you had to pick,
And you do.
and you do. Now, the important thing about this question is
Can you just ask
the
me?
answer can't come from here.
Okay. Just gut reaction.
We can't just
And for the
just ask him.
podcast
Just
listeners, I'm
ask him.
pointing to my head.
You can't just ask.
You can't just ask.
No, because
has
you
to-
would answer it wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
You need to
All
understand
right.
the stakes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. the stakes,
The answer has
drama,
to come from
the way it works.
The answer has to come from here,
For the podcast listeners, he is pointing to his heart.
which means fast response.
Okay.
I don't want you to think about it. I want the answer that's deep down in your soul.
Okay.
Now here's the thing: everybody has an answer.
They just don't know it yet.
They just don't know it yet.
You're about to learn
Okay.
your answer.
This is really intense.
you can put your answer on your podcast even to let people know who you are.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now,
It's deeper than libtard or bigot. It's all the way down.
now, if you had to pick,
And you do.
What would you say is your favorite kind of turtle?
Snapping. Hold on, wait. So that's why you said good foreshadowing, because I said, so what did I say? Something about an awkward
Something
turtle?
about a turtle. Yeah, awkward turtle. Yep.
Wow.
Wow, good call. Good picking that up.
Yeah.
Anytime somebody mentions turtle earlier in the episode, I'm like, ooh,
Oh,
foreshadowing.
foreshadowing.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
And I have no
wild.
idea.
A lot.
Right, it does
Why
have
do
a
people
lot.
talk about turtles so much?
But
You
no
guys
one's picked
kind
it
of
up
might.
before.
Did you guys do some kind of voodoo on me before I came in? Or? That's wild.
Snapping is probably the answer we get the most.
That's
True.
like the-
Fox.
It is the Tanner of turtles.
Yeah.
It is.
They say.
Well, I don't think. I feel like nobody knows what other kinds of turtles are.
Oh, there's a lot of answers. We've gotten Donatello.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's pretty creative. Michelangelo. Next time I come on, I know what I'm. gonna say.
Michelangelo.
Yeah, he's cool.
Well, next time
He's
you come on,
pizza.
you get a different
Michelangelo.
question.
He's pizza. He's great.
If your other questions have included favorite shape,
Yeah, what shape is the Earth? We believe in tube Earth. The
Tube
Earth is
Earth.
a tube.
I'm a flat Earth guy. Definitely a flat Earther.
100%.
Yeah.
we're tube. It's the Earth is just a big cylinder covered in trees.
Everyone
that
knows
right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
But anyways, there you go. You heard it here first.
Cool.
His favorite turtle snapping deep down from the depths of his heart.
We usually go out on a song.
I know, we don't have a song.
Do you
Unless
like any songs?
We can't even
play?
do it because
I
we're right
could-
from the other
No,
room.
I could go play
Okay.
it.
You know
I'll
what
go
I
play
could do?
Yeah.
I could do like my outro, like the.
Yeah, do
the-
the outro like from
what it
your
sounds-
show. Yeah, it's new. That's it. That's your outro.
That's the outro.
No, like this. See you guys next time.
Is that
Yeah. Oh
usually-
no. Oh, sorry. All right. I didn't know you were doing the whole thing. All right.
okay.
So the thing is, all right, guys, this is a really great show. Thanks so much and take care.
All right, you have to run to the other room to actually turn off the stream.
No, we have to play rock paper scissors.
Oh, but we don't.
Usually
don't
we
do that
play
off
music and
camera.
people
For
can
what?
can't. That usually, so we play rock paper scissors. And
This has never been said on this show before.
correct.
To
We don't
decide.
say it. We just do it, and then but people can't hear us talk,
Yeah, normally songs playing.
and we just
they're
play
seeing
rock
us do
paper
stuff.
scissors.
It's a
But for
tradition.
this episode, maybe they get to hear what we say,
yeah.
and I'll just play a song in the background
There you go.
on Spotify on my phone. This is super ghetto, but it's cool.
It's all good.
Yeah.
I dig it.
It's different. All right, so we got some Laney playing here. All right, so we play rock paper scissors.
Okay.
Podcast listeners, we always say this stuff, but you don't get to hear it. Okay. So we play rock paper scissors.
Okay.
To see who has to take the trash.
Yeah, but we never actually make the guests take the trash out because that's
He
ridiculous.
always says that. I always say this, and I'm like,
Okay.
dude, you gotta take the trash out.
That's fine.
So
I'm
it's
okay
all
with it.
three. One person's out. The next two people go. Last man standing.
Cool. Let's
The
do
first
it.
person out's the loser.
Are we rock paper scissors shoot or rock paper scissors?
We go on go on shoot.
On shoot.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't actually say shoot. I think that's dumb.
Okay. It's fine.
But rock. Oh shit.
All paper.
wow.
That's
Triple
wild.
tapes. Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Here we go. All
We
paper.
all did it again. All right. That's all right. That's all right. That's all right. We're all in mind. All the mind games. All
Oh
the mind
yeah.
games.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
This is
Okay,
good.
ready?
Yep.
Damn it! All paper. Well, somebody's got to switch.
Here we go.
Okay.
You ready?
I swear to God, if it's all paper again.
Rock paper scissors shoot.
Yes, dude.
Double
He's
cover.
stuck with the paper.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
We've never two people have lost at one time.
You and
Okay,
me.
ready?
Ah.
Yeah, bitch. Yeah,
Your
basic.
studio, you're trash.
Exactly. See what happens. All right, guys. Thanks for coming to hang out. We'll see you next time with guests we don't necessarily have scheduled yet. Potentially John, maybe. We'll see. And we'll see y'all. Oh, I might be doing a little bit of a regular stream later tonight. We'll see how the night plays out. But I will see y'all later.
Lonely